All eyes are on America's Sweethearts right now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Just recently released, this Netflix docuseries, and it's really a peeling behind the curtain of your life on the field and off the field, and it's giving this really unique perspective. There's a lot of hype around this series. I think it's been rated #1 in the U.S., in Australia, even Canada too.
Yes, ma'am.
The fascination with what you guys do is beyond. How does that make you feel? It's
incredible. I've been really excited to see how well it's done and the great feedback that's come with it. It's just amazing that people are getting to see us on a personal level and on a deeper level and see what we do all year long. So it's been great to receive really good feedback for that.
Yeah. What was it like seeing you on camera? I mean, seeing yourself back on camera. I know you guys are constantly watching yourselves back for practice and routine purposes, but I'm sure it's a little bit different to see a vulnerable version of you really in the mix. I mean, you guys are living out your dream.
For sure.
It's all captured on cameras. How does that, I mean, tell me a little bit more about that.
It was interesting because I think the first time I watched it, I'm almost done with my second time watching it, I was a little bit more, or a little bit less, I don't know the word, shocked, I guess, by it. And I think it felt more normal. And I was like, oh, we're just watching back videos of us all year long, because I think living it just felt normal. And then the second time going back, it really set in. This is on Netflix. And the second time going back, I've now, seen people around the world and on the internet interacting with it and giving us feedback. So it kind of made it more real that this is big. People are seeing this. This isn't just a playback of the video we just took, So it's definitely setting in that it's gotten a lot bigger, and it kind of made me feel a bit different than it did the first time watching it. But it's been incredible, and it's been really fun to watch my teammates and myself on the camera.
Right. Camille, what about you? I mean, this is crazy. I'm sure it's been a dream of yours since you were a young girl.
Yes.
What's it like to see all of it play out on Netflix?
It's really exciting, and it's really fun because there's so much that happens throughout the season and the year that we just kind of fly through. So it's fun to take a second and rewind and say, oh, I actually did do that, or our Dolly Parton halftime, and just kind of recant on those positive experiences. It's really cool to watch it and have a time capsule, just kind of cherish our rookie season.
Yeah. You used the word shocked.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you feel shocked at all? And if so, kind of where did the shock come from? Just besides the fact that you guys were on Netflix, is there anything that really surprised you about yourself or about being a part of this team that you otherwise wouldn't have really seen had you not watched it back in this series?
Absolutely. I think the surprise for me was seeing the behind the scenes of Kelly and Judy's deliberations and their thought processes that go into things, because we obviously knew the outcome of the team, but seeing kind of what they were thinking about and what their ideas were was really interesting because we didn't have that inside point of view outside of the show. So seeing that was very full circle to understand just how much of a business they treat this as.
For sure.
Yeah, it's got to be a pinch me moment, right? Because when people think Dallas and when they think football, obviously America's Sweethearts really comes to mind. You guys are part of a cheer dynasty that's now global.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys are so young and so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
What is that feeling like for all the little girls that aspire to be, or boys that aspire to be just like the two of you? I mean, this is incredible to be a part of this movement that you guys are creating.
For sure. It's a very surreal feeling, I will say. I was one of those little girls. I grew up in the Dallas area my whole life, so I went to junior DCC camp and I had a baby version of this exact uniform when I was little. So I think living it out now, living out this dream, as you said, is a pinch me moment in a way of I never could have imagined this feeling. If I didn't feel this, I couldn't have imagined it. So it's just incredible, and we definitely take it day by day and just really try to soak it in day by day and not take anything for granted.
While you're living out your dream, I will ask you this question. While you were living out your dream, especially as a Black woman and a Black dancer, knowing that so many little girls and boys are looking up to you, how does it make you feel that people are this invested in what you're doing, but for you, you're just living out your dream?
Absolutely. It's an honor, like Brooklyn said. I remember I watched the formal show, Making the Team, with my dad on Saturdays when I was little growing up, and he asked me, is this something you'd like to do? And I was like, maybe, but it seems so far out of my reach. And so to be here now it's really humbling and just kind of mind-blowing that now I'm in a position where I can inspire the next, Camille or Brooklyn or anybody that has this dream and wants to pursue it. I think that representation is important, because if you can see a visual of yourself, then if they can do it, I can do it, because they look like me, they can dance like me. So I think it's very humbling to be in that position to inspire the next generation.
Let's hone in on that for a second, because I think it's important to mention representation is so big, and I think that what you guys are trying to do here with the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders is represent all groups, and you are that. There is an incredible responsibility that comes with representing a Black woman, right, or a minority of any kind.
Absolutely.
Talk about when making the team, and now seeing this again for the world to see on Netflix. Does that responsibility weigh on you at all, or are you really just kind of taking it in as, this has a whole new meaning to me?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm the oldest of three, so I think my entire life my mantra has been inspire, motivate, lead by example. Yeah. And so I think that's translated into my career as a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader is, not being so focused on the weight and how heavy it is to represent, but just kind of emulate that, we come from all different shapes, sizes, backgrounds. I want to tell my story accurately, and don't want to feel like I have to fit a mold or somebody's point of view, but just can kind of, use my story to inspire others to be themselves.
Absolutely. Now, we talk about the debate, and I don't even know why this is a debate personally anymore, because I'm to myself as a dancer. Whether or not cheerleading is a sport. I'm so tired of this debate, but it's true. And what I love about this all being captured on cameras is because you see a lot of people are at home thinking, there's no way I could do this. This is 1,000% a sport. How do you feel about being a part of this series and showing people that are watching at home, hey, listen, this is definitely a sport.
Right. I think it's incredible, especially with this show now, that people are getting to see the behind the scenes of what all goes into this uniform and these palms. It's not super easy. So I think just the training day to day, the attention to detail, the discipline it takes, those are all things that athletes learn and do day to day. I think the word sport kind of speaks for itself. This isn't just something anybody can do every day without training for it. So it's definitely athletic, it's definitely tough, and it's something we work for and have to work to maintain our abilities every day.
Camille, athletes are performers, right?
Yes.
What makes this lifestyle, because I do feel like this is a lifestyle that you guys are living, what makes this addicting? For you to come back to try out again for another season. What about this gives you life?
Yeah, I would say for me it's not so much an addiction as much as a passion that I want to pursue. I think as dancers we've been so trained to become perfectionists at our craft, and now at the highest level in the NFL for the Cowboys, I think you just want to be your best and bring your best. And so last year, going through training camp and rookie year, I really just wanted to prove that I belong and I can do this. And now I think heading into my second year, it's just like I want to fine-tune my craft and be the best that I can be heading into hopefully a veteran season.
Right. The reality behind the glitz and the glam of what you guys do, there's a very real and, like we were saying, a vulnerable component. What is so hard mentally and emotionally about picking up those palms, right? Coming into practice every single day, performing, that people may not really see, or they don't really know.
I would touch on Camille's point about the perfectionism. I think the toughest part that I've experienced, and I think a lot of us have, is dealing with that mental block of like, I want to be perfect. You work so hard, you are a part of this incredible organization, you don't want to let anybody down, let yourself down. It's this team is truly iconic and has set the standard in so many ways that you want to do your best and strive to be your best at all times, that it can get mentally challenging because it's like you versus you in your head, and you don't want to let yourself down or in any way, shape, or form feel like you're letting any part of this organization down.
All of us kind of struggle and battle with that, I think, to some degree too.
Yes, ma'am.
One of your teammates in the show kind of really voiced a concern for depression and anxiety, which is something that is very common in today's society. And it's a conversation that's coming to the table because it's something that we're all finally opening up about, that we deal with in some way. We know that this is a very high-performing job, and your performance depends on it. There is an amounting pressure that comes with that we've been talking about. For you personally, I mean, can you agree with that teammate at all about those personal struggles at any point during your time on the team?
Absolutely. I think football season's long, and we learn about 60, 70 routines throughout the entirety of the season, so it's not only physically demanding but mentally demanding. And so I think it's important to find opportunities to give yourself grace, to give your teammates grace, because we're all going through this together. We're all juggling so many different opportunities, jobs, responsibilities, relationships. So I think what was important for me my rookie year was really being grounded with my family, my friends, taking some opportunities to take a deep breath and reset. Because I think when you keep going the entire season, like a car, you know, you're going to run out of gas at some point. So it's important to kind of, you know, take time to feel yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, to be able to withstand the full season.
Everybody has their ways of managing strength in order to keep coming to the table to perform. So yours, you would say, is just family and leaning in on your support system.
I would say so.
When we talk about juggling, right? I think that the conversation that is becoming a hot topic is your salary, which is, again, a very vulnerable subject. It's like, why is everyone about what I'm making?
About how much we make.
You know, and there was reports around saying that you guys make like $500 a game. You know, being able to manage other jobs and a lifestyle outside of following your dreams and your passion. Talk about what that's like. You don't really necessarily have to say what you guys are doing to make money on the outside of this, but I want to talk about this because I think a lot of us in today's America are doing more than one thing just to make ends meet. Is that hard for you? What does that look like for you? And what do you have to say to critics that say, you know, why don't you get a real job? You know, when you say, I want to do what it is that makes me happy.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on that?
For sure. Well, I would like to say that we get paid for practices and games and our appearances. So we are getting paid more than just for games. You know, it is a job in itself. I will say, to speak for myself, and a lot of us do have full-time jobs outside of this. I work 40 hours a week outside of cheer. So I definitely, that's something that's my choice, and I love this so much, and I honestly would do this for free. Like, this is not for the money for me. As Camille mentioned earlier, it's a passion, and that's something that I want to pursue as long as I can. And then, of course, you know, it's just like with any other job, you know, you're passionate about certain things, you find things that you love. And I myself have started a business in the past. I have, you know, found different ways to make money doing things that I love and I'm passionate about, and this to me falls into that category. So, you know, it's not about making the most amount of money in this particular job, but we have lifestyles that we have figured out ways to manage, and we have different jobs that pay for it, and you know, that's my take on
And this is nothing new. It's always been this way
Right.
here with the organization. So again, the fascination behind the pay scale, I think, is appalling to me personally. What about you?
Yes, yeah, I echo Brooklyn's statement. I actually graduated from college and auditioned for the first time in 2022 and didn't make the team. So having that year off, I kind of got a jump start in my professional career. So I started a full-time 40 hours a week role in the marketing field. And then I came back, re-auditioned, and then made it. So I had kind of gotten used and acclimated to my career in that lifestyle. So anything that came from Cowboys was additional for gas money or anything extra. But like Brooklyn said, we make money for appearances and games and other things, and there's also a pay increase based on your tenure on the team as well. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, but definitely finding ways to, save and spend and do different things. But I would say to critics, like Brooklyn was saying, we all have side hustles, passion projects, things that we do on the side to fill in our 5 to 9 after our 9 to 5, and I would say this falls in that category of a passion, but also, a side project and something that I want to work towards outside of my professional career.
You just said 9 to 5.
9 to 5, a little plug there.
Fresh on the brain.
The struggles that you guys were talking about, before I forget, I just want to get you guys on camera talking about what some of those struggles physically and mentally are, during the season. Whether it's like my feet hurt sometimes.
Right.
Oh yes.
And I still have to put on heels for my job, or like whatever those struggles might be, just to hear that personal, relatable component from your mouths, I think is important for the public to hear. What are some of your struggles that you have to deal with through the season? I don't know if it's like a knee sprain or whatever it might be. If you could just say.
For sure. I will say, of course, this does take a toll on your body. We're all going to have back pains and knee pains, and that comes with aging as well. I'm not as flexible as I was when I was little, so it definitely can hurt physically, but we have great trainers and all the resources for things like that. Mentally, I would say time management is something that I've really had to prioritize highly. I think with my full-time job and it being pretty far from here, I'm in the car a lot, I'm driving, I'm having to manage, whether that's on my lunch break at work going over dances, just really trying to find the best ways to mentally prepare myself so I'm not stressed out when I get to dance, and I never want to feel unprepared. So even if that's going home after practice and, eating, showering, going to bed, not getting on my phone, not wasting time because I need to prioritize my mental state and my sleep and not get exhausted. So that definitely has been a thing that has helped me overcome tiredness and time management.
And I would say for me, mentally, I would say mental stamina and endurance. We learn a lot of routines every night in practice, and then also on top of that, I'm learning new stuff for my job and things like that. So kind of learning to compartmentalize everything that I learn so I can retain it and not just have it go in one ear and out the other has been something I've had to work on. And physically, I would say my hips pop a little bit more than they used to. All those kicks, I'm like, hello, hip flexors. So definitely working on strength training and keeping those loose and limber so I can be the best that I can be when it comes time to kick.
Few and far between. No, I'm just kidding. We sleep. Like I said, you have to prioritize it. Even if that's, the 6 or 7 hours that you're trying. I always try to get at least 6 or 7 hours. I think sleep is such a priority and such a thing that we have to make sure we're getting, or else we won't have that mental endurance. So, just finding times when you can fit it in the schedule.
Power naps are a big thing.
I'm assuming that you guys don't have kids.
No,
correct?
ma'am.
You're not married yet.
No,
correct?
ma'am.
Do you feel like there is something to say to people about that? Because you're juggling so much, do you feel like this lifestyle is not conducive to those who have families?
I will say we do have many teammates that are married, and they've been able to make it work and they love it. Us two are the single ones, but it's definitely doable. I think there's pros and cons, It's also, I've heard them say it's nice for them to come home to their husband and their husband has already cooked for them, or they've already done their laundry, and we're like, oh. But it's definitely pros and cons to everything, and we are not two that can speak on having a husband during this.
I think it's all about the right partner too, having somebody that understands that you have, another priority or something to do at night. Maybe they can go to the gym or find another hobby. So it would definitely be conducive. But I think rookie year I was so focused on making sure I was the best for this environment, so I didn't have time for a new
think about a
relationship.
man.
Sidelining love. For
Right.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and I actually can fully support this. Fully support that. I want to get back into another serious topic, and this will probably be one of our last questions. But in one of the episodes, you had a teammate that really spoke openly about the depression I mentioned earlier, but also just about the struggle with anxiety and also an eating disorder. And I want to talk about body image because that is something that is also top of mind for America today, and the struggle to find the balance between the two. You guys are obviously walking, breathing icons for so many people, and you look amazing.
Thank you.
Everybody wants to look just like you guys. So there oftentimes is perhaps even a false perception of how to be and to look just like you. You guys are walking Barbie dolls to a lot of folks.
Goodness.
You know, talk about your perception of a positive body image and whether or not for you in making this team it has been a positive or even a negative experience, and how do you develop that mental and emotional strength to withstand?
I think for me, body image, the most important thing when you think about body image is prioritizing your health over how you may look in the mirror. So I think, you know, to do this job, this requires taking really good care of your body. Not for fitting in the uniform or how you look in the uniform, but more so for getting through an 8-hour game day. You know, a lot of people don't know that we run through a whole game before the game even starts, you know, so there's definitely a lot of stamina and endurance and strength required mentally and physically. So we do our best as a whole to properly fuel ourselves, you know, exercise the best way we can that best prepares our body to make us our best for this job. So I think when you have that mindset and you're thinking about doing the best you can to make yourself the best you can, you know, it doesn't become a conversation of, you know, oh, this isn't the thinnest I've ever looked. You know, that's not what matters in my brain during the season or, you know, ever, because it's like I'm trying to do what's best for me and my body. And, you know, that's for internal reasons, you know, that's for strength. That's not just for, you know, how I look at myself in the mirror. So this team definitely has been a positive influence on that, because I think we all support each other in that, and nobody's cutting each other down, you know, making you feel like you shouldn't be eating that or whatever that may be. So we definitely all try to support each other, and I think we do a great job at it. And it's been a very positive influence for me.
I would echo that, and I think something that DCC really champions here is that we're a bouquet and we're not all identical. We all bring something different to the table, different personalities, strong work ethics, different body shapes, heights. So I think that was important for me, is that I'm not here to look like the person next to me or the person in front of me. Right. We have different strengths and we bring different things to the table. So for me, I really wanted to focus on being the best that I could be. So having stamina, having hip flexibility, you know, pointing my feet, different things in that aspect to make sure that I was my best rather than being my smallest size. So I think that's something that's important to any little dancer or little girl out there, is to focus on what makes you you and embrace, you know, your curves or your height or your feet or, you know, anything about you that you appreciate. And that's something we really value here.
To who do we thank for the change in culture to welcome more body positivity? Do you feel like it's the organization that has kind of, you know, peeled back the layers of this very strict guidelines that maybe perhaps in the past made people feel pressure or dancers feel pressure to be a certain size, and perhaps that's lifted, and so now you guys are able to come in as 2-year veterans and feel more comfortable? Or do you feel like it's just the America today that is kind of making young women feel more comfortable? Who do you think, where do you think that this comes from?
I think the organization does a great job at, you know, lifting us up, building us up, but also choosing women that are strong and confident and, you know, will stand up for ourselves. And I think, as you mentioned, with America today and society today, we're, you know, not as much worried about what size you are or whatever that may be. And we're confident in that, and we are, as I said earlier, supportive of each other. So I think it's an effort from everyone involved. And
The focus perhaps is less about looking good, but more so feeling good.
For sure.
I don't know about you, but I feel better. You know, like I look better when I feel better.
100%.
For sure. I feel like that goes hand in hand. You know? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would say that DCC is a very character-based organization too, so it's way more than the physical appearance. It's, you know, your work ethic, your intelligence, how respectful you are, how you perform. So there's so many factors that they go into when they pick the team that I don't think that, you know, physical appearance is as heavily weighed as society would have had it years before.
100%.
So it's a well-rounded picture of what they're looking for and what it takes to.
Is that like a part of the tryout? Like, is there like a character portion?
I think
They
the
get
entire-
to know
the
us
entire
very well.
training camp is pretty- they'll ask questions
Yes.
and uniform fittings. Kelly will talk to us, and so they really want to investigate and know that they're hiring brand ambassadors.
Yeah, so it's beyond just, can you do the kicks?
100%.
Yes,
They do very thorough background checks,
Yes.
get to know us well as humans, not just dancers. And, you know, as she said, we're conversating with Kelly and Judy and all of our staff, and they're getting to know us for us and our hearts and not just what's on the outside. And that's at the end of the day something that brings us all together, and why I think, you know, this team of 36 women is successful because, like she said, they're picking women of character, and there's a lot more factors that go into that than just how high your kicks are.
You guys are so impressive. Is it
Oh.
too much to ask you guys for your ages?
Oh no, I don't mind. I am 23.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm 24.
And you guys both from here, born and raised?
I am from here. I'm from Flower Mound. So right down the street, born and raised. I moved to Alabama for college, and then after I graduated, I moved back. So I'm back home.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm originally from Overland Park, Kansas. And then my family moved to Flower Mound in 2019. So
Yes.
that's our new home base.
Okay, gotcha. All right, we're gonna have a little bit of fun just to wrap up.
Awesome.
We're gonna pick a favorite episode, but series, but your favorite moment within that episode, just to be
Okay.
specific.
Okay.
And I'll switch things up. I'm gonna go with you first.
Okay.
You always have time to think. I was gonna say first.
I think I can't remember the titles very well, but there's an episode right after we make the team where we walk through Thunder and you watch the whole thing from like a game day point of view.
Yeah.
And I get chills like even thinking about it because Thunder's just so magical. So to see how they portioned every single section of it so well was really cool for me.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. I want to 100% agree with that. That is a really cool moment. And I think after living it, you know, all year long, we did it, and we got to sit back and watch it and see how the audience views it, and it's like, whoa, that is cool.
Yeah.
But to come up with another answer, I would say reliving, okay, this is kind of cliche, but reliving the moment that Charlotte Jones walked in and announced that we made the team. Definitely brought tears back to my eyes again.
Yeah, that was
And
incredible.
it was incredible because in the moment, it was such an intimate moment and we were all together, but it was just us and our staff. And now America and my family and my friends were able to see it, and I witnessed a lot of my family and friends watching that back, and they started crying. And I'm like laughing watching it back because I'm like, I was bawling my eyes out when this happened in real life. So that was really a surreal feeling to relive.
I'm sure they're so proud of you guys, right? I thought you guys were gonna say Dolly. No?
Well, that was
Dolly
fun
was
too.
around.
That was another.
There's
There were
too
so
many good parts
many.
to pick, just that's what it is.
Yes.
Really quickly talk about that performance, right? Because you guys were the center stage of all of America watching. You guys obviously do, games every single Sunday where there's thousands of people watching, but that performance was different.
That was
That
different.
was incredible.
And for you guys now going in year two, what's going to amount to that? Hopefully there will be more experiences, but for you personally, what is it like to just be with the Dolly?
Right. I will say, and I'm really glad I did this, but I told myself throughout that whole week, like take every moment in, because I knew, I was like, I'm not gonna get this again. And I vividly remember going out for the halftime, like during the real thing, not just during practice, and looking up at her and being like, Brooklyn, take this in, like do not forget this. And I genuinely had so much fun doing that performance. And I think with many performances, it gets to the point sometimes where you're, you know, maybe you're not as comfortable with that dance and you're like really trying to focus on what you need to work on. And, you know, all performances feel different, but that one felt, as you mentioned, like magical when you said thunder. And I'm really glad that I took it all in, because I remember it so clearly, and I'm happy that I do.
Yeah, I don't think anything will amount to Dolly Parton. It was incredible. And I remember getting ready to go out, I had such a knot in my throat because I had to hold back tears of like, this is incredible. Yes, absolutely. So I would say the same thing. I really focused on being present, and we had an opportunity. There was a dance move where we stopped and stared at her on the stage, and I was like, just soak it in, because you won't get this back.
I swore I made eye contact with her.
Yes. So it was incredible.
Yeah. You guys, what's life look like after this is all over with and you hang up your palms one final time? What does life after this stardom and this adrenaline rush of being a high-scale performer and a cheer dynasty of an organization, what does that look like for the both of you after all this is said and done?
For me personally, as I mentioned earlier, I'm very passionate about my career, so I'm hoping that after this career, unfortunately, will have to close one day. After that, I hope to continue pursuing my career in sales. And I am one that has a very entrepreneurial personality, and so who knows what that may bring. And then hopefully starting a family one day, and just continuing to live out my dreams and chase my passions, because I have many of them. So. We'll see. I don't know. That's another thing. I don't know, but maybe in a few years where I'll be or what I'll be doing. But definitely passionate about career growth and chasing my dreams, because this one was able to come true, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So I would hope to do that with as many as possible.
And I would say similarly, I'd love to dive deeper into my career, but I think dance-wise, I'd love to find a new avenue, whether that's teaching or coaching or mentoring, some way to inspire kind of the next generation to have the skill set to follow the dreams that they want to do. And I love to travel, so I'd love to go to a different country, different continent, somewhere for a couple months.
Yes.
So.
Thank you ladies both so much.
Thank you.